It's the old school traveler. Let me tell you about a city that I just love a lot of things about it. But it's not so much a city as an area of America. I lived there for a long time. It's the Miami to Boca Raton to West Palm Beach area. And this video cannot be long enough for me to tell you the good and the bad about Miami and about Boca Raton and about West Palm Beach and about Fort Lauderdale. It can't be long enough. Now, let me get right to it. Like I said, I'm the old school traveler, and travelers with an S, because sometimes I bring my wife along with me, and we do things a little bit differently, But at the end of the day, we enjoy ourselves, and it is what it is. But let's say this: Miami is the New York of the South. Miami is what Atlanta wants to be without the beach. But unfortunately, Atlanta does not have a beach, and Miami do. So, saying that, let me get right down to it. I love Miami. But like I said, I'm going to tell you the bad, the good, and what it costs to be there. I love Miami. And in this video, I'm going to show you clips from Miami and West Palm Beach and Boca Raton. But their videos, their drones, their everything. Also, Fort Lauderdale. Because you can't talk about Miami without talking about Fort Lauderdale, and you can't talk about West Palm Beach without talking about Boca Raton. So they all are wedded together. So I'm going to tell you the good and the bad about both of them. Both areas are slightly different, and what you're going to see is slightly different. But let's talk about Boca Raton, because that's the smallest city of this bunch. Boca Raton is a nice city with great restaurants, and it is expanding. It is expanding every single day from east to west. Yeah, and as a person who was born in Florida, I was born in Florida. I got relatives in Boca Raton, Miami, and Fort Lauderdale. So I go down there quite a bit to see all of them. Well, it's a lie. Not quite a bit. Every now and then, I go down there and I go visit all of them. So I'm going to tell you the bad and the good about all of them. Now, a lot of you know about Miami crime. Fort Lauderdale, the crime is not so high. Boca Raton, literally no crime. West Palm Beach, ghetto motherfuckers. Yeah, ghetto motherfuckers. It is what it is. You got a lot of people who are poor, and when you get an area that's poor, matter of fact, let me tell you, West Palm Beach got a lot of people who are poor. They got some people who got money, but that's not called West Palm Beach. That's called Palm Beach. It's a huge difference when you ask somebody about where to get to and you ask somebody about certain things. Palm Beach is not West Palm Beach. West Palm Beach is the poor neighbor of Palm Beach. So get it straight, get it right. And when you go visit those areas, you got West Palm Beach and you got Riviera Beach. There are two huge, in my book, huge projects that people who are poor can accept that. West Palm Beach is not Palm Beach. Don't get it twisted. But saying that, Boca Raton, which is only maybe 20 miles south of West Palm Beach, maybe 30, that is really upscale, nice area, and the people there got money. People there own cars, no payments. They own planes and jets, and they own boats. That is called Boca Raton. Now, saying that, you can get a Embassy Suites hotel in both cities, but the one in West Palm Beach is going to be a lot less than the one in Boca Raton. I stayed at both of them, In West Palm Beach, I average about 160 a night on Belvedere near the airport, about 160 bucks a night at the Embassy Suites. And yet I go down the street to Boca Raton, I'm paying 190 a night. Okay. Fort Lauderdale, for the same size room, is going to charge me, about 170 a night. Fort Lauderdale is slightly cheaper than Boca Raton. Miami, maybe 160, 170. But if I stay in Miami, on Miami Beach, which is a whole different neighborhood, about the same price. Miami Beach is not very, very expensive. It depends on the time of the year you go there. That is a whole different ballgame. Now, saying that, when it comes to food choices, West Palm Beach, you're not going to starve. You're not going to starve. It's not bad at all. But I can say that because at Boca Raton, things are a little bit more expensive. Only a couple bucks. Now, saying that, South Beach is going to charge you as much as they can get out of you. And I'm good with that. Because the people in the neighborhood, is going to charge you what they can get from you. But if you go to Miami West, like the Hialeah and Davie and other kind of cities, you're going to pay a lot more than that. Because they are going to charge you what they can get out of you. And I tell everybody, you can't pay everybody $20 an hour and expect for prices to not go up. It just can't be done. So, in Fort Lauderdale, I don't eat there a lot because they got a lot of chain restaurants. I stay at the Embassy Suites in all three of them. Actually, all four of them. Yeah, you're not going to get a great price when everything's bubblegum shrimp, lazy dog, when everything's a chain. You're not going to get a great deal. I'm not saying you're going to get ripped off, but you're not getting a great deal. I gave you the prices of the hotels. I can fly to any of those airports down there for about $500 round trip. Miami, Boca Raton, actually not Boca Raton, Miami, Fort Lauderdale, and West Palm Beach. $400 round trip, I can make it work. So you spend $70 on average for food and drinks, going out. And the weird thing is that all the good food is on US 1. US 1 in Dixie Highway in West Palm Beach, US 1 Dixie Highway in Boca Raton, US 1 Dixie Highway in Fort Lauderdale, and US 1 Dixie Highway in Miami. So I've stayed there at all of them, and all the hotels average about $170 a night, maybe $200 during what they call summer season or during Easter when they got the college breaks. So it's not expensive at all, not at all. But at the same time, you can go and all of these cities are on the beach. They're all on the beach. Not a big deal. And that's what you want to do. And I'm not a beach person, but I am a sun person, which means that I like being near the beach without being burnt up by the beach. Yeah, if you get burnt up by the beach, that's a whole different ballgame. And Miami just got a million things to do and see. Whether it's Turtle Island, whether it's Hialeah, whether it's Jamaicans and Haitians and everybody else, offering great foods. Yeah, it's a whole different ballgame. So when you decide to go to South Florida and not South Beach, you're going to pay for it. But not a lot, though. Because, see, I don't expect nothing to be free. Nothing. Some people want to go from the north, and they think they're going to Florida, and it's like half the price. No, we created that situation from the north. We created all that, So it's not like you're going to go from $400 a night for a hotel in New York City to $100 a night in Miami. No. I was in Miami recently for a cruise, and I was staying a couple days earlier because I do like Miami a lot, and I want to see a lot of things in Miami. And I stayed in Miami near the cruise port. Mistake number one. I stayed near the cruise port, and I stayed at the IHG Miami. I'm going to tell you right now, it was the biggest waste of money in my life. I stayed near the IHG. I paid $540 a night. The water didn't work in the room. I'm talking about shower and the faucet. The poor person who was on duty worked their behind off to get my water to work. I went a night without a shower, so did the wife. And I heard it a lot. So we got up and, for breakfast the next morning. And we got up, went to breakfast, had the best breakfast in our life. That lady was on the bomb. So and by the way, she comes from Switzerland. And she married some American and started her own thing. So we got up and went to breakfast at her place. And, we enjoyed it. It was, like I said, it was the bomb. But by the time we got back to the room, the water still did not work. And, the poor guy who was the manager at that time, I felt bad for him. I felt really bad for him. Because he had, and I know personally because I was on the text message. He had called those guys, maintenance guys, to fix their water from 10 o'clock at night to 6 in the morning. Now, he had called them all night long, and they didn't get it fixed at all. He kept saying, how can I make it right? And, I was thinking free because I didn't have none of the amenities. But this was IHG. And normally, everybody knows I'm a Hilton's man. But at the same time, our cruise ship was going to let us board at 2 o'clock. And he's talking to me at 12 o'clock. And our cruise ship was around, it was around the corner, a few minutes. But I was not, pissed off at that point. I was pissed off early in the morning when I woke up and could not get a shower. I was pissed off. So was the wife. And everybody knows if she's pissed, you're pissed, they all pissed, we're all just mad as hell. But it was out of my control. So it was not a big deal to me. So by the time he got the water right, I was gone. So I never saw the water being corrected. I never saw any of that. And it is what it is. But saying that, Miami charged me, and like I said, this was ISG. I paid $550 a night. And I kept telling my wife, that's why I don't experiment with hotels, because I'm an ISG member, but I'm a new member. I am a very new member. But that cost and what I got service-wise, you know what? I'm going to tell you what irked me the most. We arrived there, and there was no way to carry our luggage to the front desk. They had stairs. Well, guess what? Our luggage got wheels. It's like they almost force you to use a bellboy or a bellhop or whatever you want to call them. They almost force you to use them to give them a tip. And I was pretty pissed about that. And I was kind of like, listen, I ain't going to sit here and give you a tip when I got to go 10 feet, but you made it 40 feet because you got steps versus a ramp. I'm not going to sit there and do that for you. So, and this is at ISG, and they just told me I gotta go back to Hilton to get things correct. And like I said, it was a lot of money for one night. But I listened to my wife saying, let's try something other than Hilton. And I told my wife, this is exactly why I stay with Hilton. And I got status at every hotel there is. I got status. I mean, I'm a gold member here, a diamond member there. But it was just, and it was just a mess. And then the cab drivers, I was going 2 miles away, and I said, hey, can I get a ride? And the cab driver went out of his way to charge me extra money. Here's the news to the cab drivers. Anybody with Uber or anybody with a map can tell, we already know what it's going to cost. We already know. And these idiotic cab drivers from Africa or Haiti or wherever they came from, the guy was telling me $25. I said, okay, turn on your meter. He refused to turn on the meter. I said, listen, dude, how much is it to go from A to B? And he was like, oh, $25. He must thought that I was from the school of stupidity, because I already knew it was $11. So we get there, he tell me $25, no meter on, no nothing. I said, okay, I'm not paying that. And he was saying, $22. No, I already know it's $11. I already know that. He said, well, $20, $15. I said, I'll give you 12, and the 12 includes your tip. He wanted to go from 15 to 14.50. I told the wife, let's get out, the hell with him. So we started getting out, and he realized that I was not going to pay him because I was paying in cash. The wife got out, I got out, and I left $12 in cash on the damn seat. I was not going to leave more money, and I was not going to haggle about it. Oh, yeah, he knew. But that's at ISG in Miami. That's the one. That's that big hotel on the beach. Don't stay there. Don't stay there. So we ate our dinner. We got a taxi back from a white guy. Now, going there was a black guy. I don't know what nationality he was, but he's not American. And so if Trump wanted to export him. And his buddies. I got no problem at all with that. So, seeing that the white guy on a taxi, some brand I didn't even know, and we went back to the hotel. It was $9.80. I gave him $20 because he was up front, he was honest, and he went directly back to the hotel. But don't let one bad experience in a city of the size of Miami determine whether you like Miami or not. Because I love the area, I love the cities, I love the food. There's nothing negative about that other than the hotel price, and I'm not doing that again because I was taking the cruise the next day. So my whole point is, don't let that one bad experience determine for you for the whole city. Because the city of Miami has a Floridian, I love it. But I'm not gonna sit here and fake like I didn't have problems. I'm not gonna sit here and fake like I didn't have problems, because I had problems. And I just told you about my problems. And also, I walked along the boardwalk and the dock, and I had a great time. I'm talking about a great time in Miami. And some people say, well, what about the crime and everything else? Oh, yeah, Miami got crime and everything else, but I was not living where everything else was living. Because when I went to Northwest Miami, I could tell by the houses it was a problem. But at the same time, I was not going to live in the area or stay in the area. I was not going to do that. I knew that I was going to stay in the beach. Stay near the beach in a house in Miami. And I stayed at, I stayed on the south side and didn't like it. I was on the southwest, didn't like it. Hialeah, I was not a fan, but I was a fan of Miami Beach. Oh, no, I was a fan of that because that's my kind of lifestyle where I've stayed there, driven there, my own car, and I knew exactly what I was getting into, and I enjoyed it. People say, well, you got West Palm Beach. I love West Palm Beach too. I just don't like where my family live at in West Palm Beach. I don't like none of that at all because they tend to gravitate toward Riviera Beach, and they're not going to leave. They're not going to leave. It is what it is, and that's their lifestyle and their choices. And I was kind of like, listen, y'all live in the ghetto. But people who live in the ghetto do not know they're in the ghetto. People who don't live in the ghetto know you're in the ghetto. So Boca Raton was so clean, I was like, holy hell. Have this city ever had a crime? If you look at it, the answer is no. It is what it is. You choose to live your life and live the way you want to live. So I was cool with that. But at the same time, Fort Lauderdale, I was like, oh, Fort Lauderdale is pretty clean. They got Aventura Mall. They got a lot of different things you like. And that's okay too. But everybody ain't living that life. But everybody can live their life. But everybody make different choices. And it is what it is. So my point to you, this is the Old School Travelers. And we go out and we do things and we travel. And our goal is to share our joy and disappointment with you so you don't make the same mistakes that we made. Old School Traveler out.